Let me just set the scene. If you ever find yourself in handcuffs and you have been charged with a crime such as burglary, it's one of the lowest forms of crimes that you can commit because there's always a victim who have had their sanctuary violated. Just think about it. If you force yourself into a home, you roam around the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, and help yourself to their valuables. Sometimes the victim can also be in the home too. The crime is a serious violation of a person's personal space, their sanctuary. However, what if the burglar was caught stealing a woman's underwear? How do you explain that? Stephen Kearny, who was 40 years old and from Adlam Road in Fazakerley, Liverpool, had previously enjoyed a relationship with his victim. However, after the relationship broke down due to Stephen's paranoia and controlling ways and manipulation, Stephen could not accept the fact that the ex-partner did not want to see him again. Now, Stephen had a history of putting his hands on women. Now, Stephen would often do things like show up at the house uninvited and even when he was told not to come, and this was the place on Field Lane. The obsessed Stephen would also leave hundreds of messages and place too many phone calls. During his rants, he would say things like, I loved you and you loved me. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you ignoring me? Let's just talk. Why are you leaving me on read? Now, during the rant, Stephen had promised to damage the victim's car. Stephen had also tried to emotionally manipulate the victim by saying that he would K himself, something he would then pin on the victim in order to garner sympathy. The manipulation and conniving ways that Stephen would hurt his ex-partner, Stephen Kearny was also a dad, so he should have put his time and effort into raising his children. Now, eventually, Stephen's ex-partner, who has not been named, was granted a restraining order and a community order against Stephen. Stephen then promised also to break his ex-girlfriend's windows. Under the terms and conditions of the order, the courts told Stephen that he was not allowed to contact his ex-partner/victim or attend her address on Elizabeth Road on Field Lane. Stephen Kearny could care less about the injunction imposed on him. Now, because Stephen knew his ex-partner inside and out, he knew that she was working a night shift on the 11th of February of 2025. So, after downing drink and also taking a few bumps of white, Stephen decided to take a trip to his ex-girlfriend's home on Elizabeth Road, despite knowing that he was not allowed to be in the area or even come to the house. Now, Stephen, in his drunken stupor, had then climbed over the fence and forced open the garden shed. He then took a number of tools out of the shed and then used them to force his way into the house by breaking through the back door panel. As Stephen roamed the quiet and dark house, Stephen took in his victim's scent, inhaled it, treasured it, and digested it. He went through the drawers and helped himself to cigs and vapes, but in a crazed and perverse act, Stephen then raided the pants drawer and he took a pair of his girlfriend's pants. Now, during the burglary, Stephen was not quiet. He didn't tiptoe or make any adjustments to how loud he was being. Now, he had made enough noise that a neighbour was woken up by the brazen man. Knowing that the homeowner was at work, the neighbour then quickly dialed 999 and reported a burglary in process. Stephen knew what he was doing. Stephen had forced his way into his ex-partner's home in order to scare her, to make her home feel like a place that she would not be safe in anymore. In some twisted way, Stephen still wanted to hold power over his ex-partner, and of course he had to go to the house because he needed to take an ascent and he needed to feel closer to the victim because she would not respond to his calls nor his messages. Now, police had arrived at the scene fairly quickly, and when they arrived, they went to the home and they actually found Stephen still on the premises. Now, when police found a dishevelled Stephen, he had the vapes on him and also the cigs, but he was also clutching 3 pairs of knickers, which had been taken from the victim's bedroom drawer. Now, Stephen was quickly arrested and, of course, placed in handcuffs for his own protection, but also for the police's. A thorough search also revealed that Stephen was carrying 2 bags of cannabis. In a complete invasion of privacy, Stephen had also gone through his victim's purse in a messy and chaotic search. Now, police went through the victim's home and took note of the damage and destruction Stephen Kearny had caused. The police noted that the victim's back door had been annihilated, with the bottom panel being broken through and the door lock mechanism had been removed forcefully. Police also noted that a number of tools had been taken from the garden shed. That lock was broken, and also it's likely that Stephen had tested several tools in a trial and error method in order to see which one was most efficient to get him inside the home. Now, Stephen was taken into police custody, where he was interviewed under caution. Immediately, Stephen, whom was no stranger to portraying himself as a victim, had broken down and told police that he had drunk a few stiff drinks and then helped himself to calm his jittery nerves by taking a few bumps of white, of course being Class A. Stephen says that he was clearly not thinking straight, and he had unlocked his phone and sent his victim a number of messages that evening. The messages, he says, were harmless. I just wanted to talk to her. And in the messages, Stephen had asked the victim, "Are you okay? Just a text will do. I don't get why you're blanking me. It's mean. You're breaking my heart. Can't you see that? I loved you and you loved me. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you answering me? Hello? Please answer me. Are you okay?" Stephen Kearny was already known to police, as he had previously been fined and cautioned for putting his hands on a previous partner. And then, when Stephen's court case came to court and Stephen had to answer why he had taken his girlfriend's underwear, he had to come up with a plausible explanation. The judge directly asked Stephen why he'd take the pants, and Stephen had explained he had taken the item of clothing because he tried to stem a cut that was leaking red when he forced his way into the home by taking a panel out from the back door. The judge didn't buy the explanation and also commented that a pre-sentencing report showed that taking an ex-partner's pants meant that there was some form of gratification involved in the act, perverse even, and there had to be a deeper meaning behind it, especially when he had broken a restraining order and a condition order. In court, it was also explained that Stephen had been out of employment since 2021, but when his relationship broke down, he had a tendency to latch onto women and throw away everything of value in his life. That would be family and work included. Once a man of impeccable character, Stephen had hit the self-destruction button in his life and turned to drink and drug to get through the day, despite the fact that the grown man had children to look after and support and nurture too. Now, Stephen Kearny admitted burglary, 2 counts of harassment and possession of weed, and he appeared via video link to H&P Court wearing a navy blue t-shirt, and he was seen, his head in his hands at times, sobbing between talking. Now, ultimately, Stephen Kearny was jailed for 20 months, and he was also handed a new 5-year restraining order. The judge also says, until 2021, you were a hard-working, law-abiding man. Then things began going wrong. You seem to have redeemed yourself in the eyes that your partner, who has written a reference describing you as a good father to your 2 younger children. Hopefully you can make your way back. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe. Safe.